You're listening to Artistic Finance, show 173. Today's show is an interview with Ulrike Storch, who is a business coach for circus performers. Topics include whether or not to work for free, marketing and social media curating, a frank look at rates and negotiations, and authenticity in professional communication. The interview was first published on the StageLync podcast, and the interviewer is Robb. A couple months ago, during the great computer debacle of 2024, when I was driving 2 hours a day to and from the computer repair shop, I used that time to catch up on some podcasts, one of which was StageLync. When I heard this episode, there was something so matter of fact about how Ulrich views the business side of performing that I actually listened to the episode twice in hopes that some of the perspective would osmosis over onto me. Now, since we've had Anna on the show before, I reached out to her and asked if Ulrich would let me put this interview into our feed. They both agreed to it, and the only thing they asked me was to link to their contact information. So in the show notes, you'll find links to the original StageLink podcast and their website, and you'll find Ulrich's website and social media handles. That's all at artisticfinance.com/173. And after you hear the interview, if you're interested, go give them a follow on the socials. What I love about this episode is the attitude toward rates, negotiation, and niche. It's an empowering conversation, and I hope you benefit from hearing it. Without further ado, let's get to the show.
You are listening to Artistic Finance, where we help creatives learn about the business of show business.
Today we're talking with Ulrike Storch. Ulrike, a former circus artist with a 15-year international career, captivated audiences worldwide with her signature act, Tribute to Marlene. Trained across Europe, she transitioned from the spotlight to entrepreneurship, founding Selling Circus, a unique marketing and sales training platform for circus professionals. As a thought leader, Ulrike combines her artistic talent and with business acumen, making a significant impact in both the entertainment and entrepreneurial worlds. Ulrike, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Anna.
Great to have you. So I know a little bit about what you do now, but tell us first a little bit about your performance career, how you became an artist, and tell us a little bit more about what is Tribute to Marlene.
Well, I started circus performing actually quite a long time ago. I'm now 38. Yes, I'm 38, and I started when I was 15. I went to the state school in Berlin, the classic circus school there, and I trained to become an aerialist, actually. But my whole career was being a foot juggler. So I started that, but had a major accident during my training in school after 2.5 years, and actually had to stop for, I think 3 years almost, because my foot completely broke. There was 3 ligaments completely torn up. Like, it was a disaster. It was like, okay, this is it. And because I was still very young at that time and new to the industry, I kind of just started because I was like, cool, circus. You know, I feel like as a 15-year-old, you don't have much of a career sense because you start very early. So I was like, okay, this was a nice try, and it didn't work. So I recovered for like 3 years almost, and I tried to just get my school degree, and I was like, none of this is fun. None of this makes sense to me. And I started to really suffer and kind of like derail as a teenager or younger teenager. And I was like, there's nothing where I feel like I can be me, or I can be creative, or I can express myself, or feel like there is a place for me. So I started to kind of go, okay, is there a way back for me into the industry? So I moved to Berlin again, and went to the Etage. I don't think the school exists anymore. So, and did there a first year, started circus school again, which was not a great level there, but just for me to get my foot into the door. And then again there, I was like, this is still not enough to actually make it in the industry, because I found the quality that I got there as a training was for me like, okay, I'm trying my best, but I saw what's out there. And also I was already older at that time. So I was like, how am I going to do this? So I went to Ukraine for 2-3 months to train there as a hand balance, which is also something that didn't work. And eventually, long story short, I ended up in Codarts in Rotterdam, which was my magic place, that one place where everything just worked. I found my teachers, I found my discipline, which is foot juggling, also through, not by choice even, and it all came together. And then I started being a foot juggler, and it was the weirdest, unusual journey for me, because I always felt like I'm too old. I also don't have any background. I don't have dance or acrobatic, or I just felt literally the whole time I've been freaking winging it and went from injury to injury and school to school. And then I landed somehow in the industry and had to start. And I was like, cool, let's do this. That was over like the 10-year period, I think, everything I just said. That's how I ended up becoming a performer.
And was your foot juggling act part of what you called the Tribute to Marlene? What was this show?
So Tribute to Marlene is one of the things that I've created as part of my niche work. So I look apparently like a Hollywood star that's been dead for many years. Her name is Marlene Dietrich. And my whole niche was to perform in like a vintage, old Hollywood kind of style area. And Tribute to Marlene was really just a foot juggling act, portraying Marlene Dietrich as if she would be a foot juggler. I imagined, what would she do if she would be a foot juggler? Because people kept telling me that I look like her. And I was like, no, leave me alone. I'm a very unique artist. I'm going to do my own thing. So I kept actually for 2 years in the beginning of my career, I created act after act. And I was like, okay, I want to do my own creation. Who am I to just, I felt like giving up doing this. And then at some point when nothing was working, I was like, okay, then, I have nothing to lose. No one's booking me anyway. So I can also try this. And then I tried it, and it was literally the breakthrough of my career, and even a breakthrough for me, because I felt so home in it, and I had so much to say about it, and I actually knew so much about her. And it was this magic thing where everything kind of fell in place, because Tribute to Marlene is really an act about empowerment, I always, in my whole history, in my family, we talk about strong women. It's a thing that's in our family. We talk about Frida Kahlo, about Marlene Dietrich, and all these. My mom is a super feminist, so this was always a topic for us. But it was so unconscious for me that it never seemed like something I could actually bring into my performing work. I always thought I needed to follow some trends or look for things that other people do. And I didn't feel like I fit anywhere. I always saw contemporary, and I was like, oh, maybe I need to be contemporary. And I was like, I hate this. Like, I don't want to wear jeans. I was like, I just want to be a showgirl. I just want to have the most fabulous costumes. I want to create something so powerful and magical on stage. I didn't even care about circus, not in the sense that I don't care about circus. But for me, what I wanted to create was really a story with like almost like a movie, but in compact form. And I found that in character work, and then just basically becoming the world's most known Marlene Dietrich tribute lookalike. Even I think one of her relatives reached out to me, and she was like, this is freaky. Like, are you related to us? And this was the tick too. Yeah. And this act also allowed me to go into a lot of different industries, because a lot of people know Marlene Dietrich. Like, she's been a Hollywood star. She's been a cabaret star. I think she's used in the cabaret scene a lot anyway. But basically, once I started honing in on this, I got booked for Paris Fashion Week. I got booked for movies. I got booked for adverts. All these doors open for me because I chose this one thing. And that was kind of like, this is also the reason why I created so many other things after that are really particular and very specific to something. And it's kind of like that. It's the work that I do. The more specific you can, the better it is. Yeah, that's how it came by.
That's really interesting, because I think that through that journey yourself, if I'm jumping to conclusions, you becoming what you do now in terms of selling circus, you would have learned a lot about yourself and the process of getting work through evolving with yourself in that career, but also identifying something that you can put on the market that people will buy, pay for, and be interested in it. Am I correct?
Yes. Oh, so much. It was almost like a rebirth without being too much woo-ha-ha about this, but it was really that I needed to really understand that I can be fully myself and that I actually have to create something that's extremely aligned with myself, and then find the clients that love and value the same things. So this was something that's the process that I learned, and that's the process I've been able to replicate for myself with other acts, but also for my students in selling circus, is to really understand what it is that you love the most and that you are uniquely equipped to deliver, because you have your unique story, you have your unique preferences, you have your own history of doing things and liking things and disliking things. This is the magic ingredient that kind of will attract the people that care or not care about the same things. And getting very clear about this gives you one, or at least it gave me, a really clear sense of who I am as an artist and what I'm here to create. And that clarity really, I don't know how to say this, is like a magnet to clients, because they understand your clarity and people can identify with you or not identify with you. So it's a great repellent for the people that you don't want to work with, which is great. Mm-hmm. Because I think there's this phenomenon where you go like, why the heck do I attract these terrible clients? What is wrong with me? And so it's this double-sided thing. So it's really fulfilling in the sense that you go like, okay, I'm actually allowed to be me. And then from a business perspective, I have to do this. I have to be me in order to be successful. I cannot be someone else. I cannot copy the other people. It will simply not work, because you can never take something to a level that no one else can if you copy someone else, period.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be original. And when you had that and you'd had that packaged, you said that people reached out to you for movies and, for fashion events. It probably didn't start that way. And how did you start by marketing that product, and what was the things that you did to get that on the market?
So the main thing that I did is I shared everything that I did along the process. Like I even shared everything before I created the act. I used mainly social media. Like I got most of my gigs from social media. And then once this offer was tested and I was like, okay, it's working, then I had my photo shoots done and put them on the website. But most things happened on social media, just sharing my process and using some hashtags, not much, but basically allowing people to go to see me and really being consistent with this. Not overly consistent, but just allowing people in and not just come with a finished product. So I shared my training wheels. I shared when I bought my costume, when I rhinestoned my costume. I shared pictures of Marlene Dietrich. Just everything that was related to that topic was what I shared on social media. And then I sent emails to my existing network and was like, hey, I'm working on something. Is this something you would be interested in? So I started like a kind of like a pre-selling process to just talk to people and go like, is this something that you'd like? And I had immediate responses where people were like, yes, we're looking for this. And that was even more helpful for me to actually put a little bit more money into the act, because the act was quite expensive in terms of costuming and sense of creating the music. And that's something else I think is important to share. How to start is test your idea by sharing your process and see what's happening. Because the right people will give you already feedback on an idea. They will buy into an idea. They don't need to see immediately the finished product. But you can get a sense of if an idea is going to work or not by sharing it, and not only with your friends, but that's why I say share it publicly, because your clients might be looking, and ideally even sharing your ideas with the people that are there to book you, because they will know, So that's something that I've done early on. I called people up and I was like, so is it true? Because in my head, I was like, I'm going to create this act that is the only circus act that has a costume like Dieter Van Thies. No one else does this. I was like, I want to see this. Yeah. So I called some clients up and I was like, this is what I'm creating. They were like, thanks freaking God. Yes. One circus artist finally gets it. We want to book circus artists that don't look like circus artists because it doesn't fit with the aesthetics and with the vibe from how we're working, because everything we do is about opulence and glamour, and circus artists don't get it. Everything looks really hard. And we need something where the circus is the second voice behind it. And I was like, yes, I love that. So I found my people just by talking to them. And I was like, great, I already know they will want it. So I went back and invested a good chunk of money in it and got really good costumes that I know they will value, and just had a photo shoot. I had a photo shoot before the act was ready. Just once the costume was ready, photo shoot, shared that on social media again and again and again. One thing I had to overcome, and that's probably important for people and performers that are listening to this, is that I'm annoying other performers with how much I share about what I do. So luckily, I took a business course very early on in my career, and I got one of the most important lessons that I could ever learn. It is, you are not performing for your friends. You're not marketing to your friends, period. And of course, there were people like, oh my God, Ulrike, like, calm down. Like, you don't need to share that picture again. I'm like, yes, I do, because someone followed me yesterday and they have not seen anything before from me. So I will share it again. So it's this thing of remembering that clients find you at any time, and you just need to keep sharing your stuff. The stuff that works, we share it. We don't need to reinvent the wheel or come up with new stuff all the time. It's enough to share what you do in whatever way.
You know, I love that, because I think that in the white noise of social media and how much comes across somebody's feed, that is useless in terms of content. You know, a creative process is actually a very special process, and letting people in behind that curtain is a huge way to capitalize on your talent, if you're willing to do the work to put it out there. And I'm, obviously I'm working on StageLync, but I'm also in the industry, and I'm a big advocate of trying to get digital components into any kind of live entertainment performance, because this is where people live now. They live through their phones, and if you want to get them to a live show, you've got to get them through the phone and through where their eyes are looking. And it's really important that the performing arts industry works harder at being savvy in that realm, because otherwise we're missing a big train. You know what I mean?
I couldn't agree more, honestly. It's something that I feel there's still a big gap to bridge in terms of, I think we're getting past a moment where people go, oh, I don't like social media. I think everyone has now understood that we need it and can use it, and it's an extremely powerful tool. But the next gap that I identified, and I created a couple of resources for this as well, is what should I post? Like, performers are so in their head about what am I allowed to post. It needs to be perfect, needs to be polished, it needs to be, but what many people don't understand, that especially social media is not your website. It's a social media. It's for you to be close with people. So it's all about building relationships through whatever you share. And as long as you don't share your entire feed full of dog pictures and your food, you should be okay. Like, target it to your clients. Ideally, put some of your performing stuff. That would be helpful. But it's so true. People book performers through their phones. Like, I recommend still to this day so many people to my old clients from the course, actually. And I go on Instagram and I see who has a good profile, and I send that via WhatsApp to that client and go, here. Like, just the other day, someone asked me, like, do you know someone for this event? And I was like, absolutely. Went to Instagram profile, send it, got booked. That's it. Because it's really hard to send someone a website, send someone a YouTube video. But so it's really this, I always call it like a pre-vetting process. It's super easy. You go, yes, it's the first yes. Boom, boom, boom. And then if this is a good yes, you can look at the other stuff and go more into detail.
And it's also the way that you, like, remember where like, for example, somebody in France contacted me if I knew a particular type of person in Australia. And the only way that I could send them those people was through my Instagram account, because I knew that they were on my Instagram.
Yeah.
So rather than trying to find them on Facebook or find them on websites or anything like that, I knew I had those 3 people as friends on Instagram. So I sent those profiles to that person, and she ended up hiring one of those people for a gig that she was doing in Australia. And so presence there in that space is just so important. Otherwise you're missing out on opportunities at this point, right?
Yeah. And it's free. Like, this is the mad thing for me. And like, it's a free marketing tool that works so magically. And here's the thing, what you just said, like, this is the other thing that is so important, is that 3 people that fit something very specific means they're very good at something specific. And that is something that's so, so important, that especially when I work with people that are new, that are still like, who am I? What do I do? To go like, it's okay if you do one thing very well and you don't do the other things. It's actually better, because then these situations happen, I feel, on the back end multiple times a day. Who could this be? Like, who could I book for this? Who could I send this? Who could I recommend? Even as performers, we think like this. And then there's some people that are never on my radar, because I'm like, I don't know where to put you. You're awesome, but I don't know where to put you. And it's the same when I look at their Instagram. It's just like, oh, you're great at what you do, but you don't choose what it is that you want. And I can feel that. And that makes me unsure about you. And that makes me have an unclear mind. And then I go immediately to a choice that's like, yes, I can trust this person. Do you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. And I like, when you think of, you mentioned Dita Von Teese, I think that like that was just such a niche act and not such a niche thing that she just went all in and capitalized on. And it's memorable, right? It's just an interesting, it's so valuable what you just pointed out, just to have a generalist is great. Maybe if you're hiring for a house troupe for a circus show, but if you're trying to sell your own act, then you definitely need to be on point with what you represent and memorable. It's like a CV for, I've hired a lot of technical crew in my past, and there's one CV that I always remember, and I giggle about it all the time. I got sent a stage management CV many years ago, and at the time that I was hiring, and it was like, I had like 50, 60 CVs, and I remember this one because at the bottom of her CV, it said other skills, and she said, I'm excellent at making balloon animals, And I just thought this one little note that had nothing to do with stage management was so amusing and memorable for me. I still to this day, 10 years later, remember that CV because of what she wrote on there, right? And it's something that stands out on something that stands out on a CV or on a profile or on a thing that becomes memorable for people looking for you.
Oh, this is a great point. Like, something that we do weekly in Selling Circus. Like, we have these live business clinics where I live coach the students and they can submit questions. And we work a lot on their messaging. And they come with their emails, like, okay, I'm about to send out these emails to these producers, to these shows. I'm doing a new cold outreach session this week. And we check the emails and we basically do messaging training. And the amount of times, I would say every time, people are scared, or the performers are scared to be themselves in their messaging and to just write how they speak. They're like, dear sir and madam. And we need to really break it back and peel back the onion of like, hey, do you know their person's first name? How can you make it fun for them? How can you make it interesting, memorable? And, how can you bring your point across in a unique way without wasting their time? Because you need to remember, like, I remember when I was casting and producing some stuff, the emails that I got, I wanted to literally jump off the cliff. It was horrible because they were so long and they were so boring and they were so hard to navigate and so much stuff was missing. And I felt I'm actually not choosing a person. I'm just trying to find an email that I can properly read. And what you said, you can bring so much across about who you are and impress and stay in someone's mind, which is half of the rent paid. to stay on someone's mind is by sharing
That's it.
how you speak. Like just say, hey, Anna, how's it going? I've been doing this yesterday. But like, it doesn't even need to be the most, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. But I would say the best trick here is to speak to someone that you already know, even if you have never met them. Like write like you write to a friend and see what energy you bring to that, like how you show up, what words you use. And then, of course, it doesn't need to sound crazy, but at least it's not the robot speaking through email.
No, it's true. And I sometimes, like, if I'm cold outreaching somebody, the first thing I'll say is, I hope this email finds you well, which is like a generosity. I don't know you, but here I am in your inbox, and I hope you're well, right? And then go into the context of the thing. For me, that's me speaking. That's as Anna. It's the way that I like to treat people. That when I meet them in person, it's like, how are you? And I truly care about how they are. And I need that to come across in an email as well, rather than just being, hey, can you send me this information? I need this out of you now, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's really important.
I think we forget that on the other end, there's a human being. Like I used to send cat. It's true. On the other end of the screen is one single person sitting, opening an email, and not some, like, we don't, even we think, like, a lot of performers say, I feel that the producer is like up here and I'm here. And I'm like, the producer on the other end is not sitting there going like, yeah, I feel super successful. All the things that I've done. Oh my God. Like that. No, they sit there and go, oh my God, I haven't pooped in 2 days. I'm really worried that I won't find my cast. I need to do my shopping. I'm worried that my budget is not enough. Like they're just human beings with problems. And that's it. Like everybody else.
100%. 100%. So when your clients come to you, how do they engage with you, and what are they needing to learn from you when they enroll?
Usually clients come to me, circus performers come to me when they have been in the industry for, I would say 2 to 3 years, or they're just out of circus school and they already know, I just want to know exactly how to do it. But usually it's 2 to 3 years. They have some initial success. So they know, okay, it's working. I can do this. And what they're usually struggling with at that point is they're like, the feeling they have is, I don't know what I'm doing. Some stuff is working. Some stuff is not working. I want to do more of the stuff that is working, but I don't know how. Usually they take all of the jobs. They're burned out. They don't know how to negotiate a proper fee. They're in this state of like, I take everything at a lower fee. So they're like, this is too much. This is not what I signed up for. And they're also not happy because they're not creating the work that they actually really, really like, because they're still in that state of just tell me what to do. I will do it. Yeah. So they're kind of like not aligned with what I do. And what they need to learn when they enroll is first thing we call it kind of the North Star. We get to understand what you actually want for your career. You get to decide. You need to understand and reclaim that you have a choice. And you need to be crystal clear about this, because we kind of shift the business model from exponential growth in all directions. I'm going to do everything and everything, blah, 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 to linear growth. So we go, okay, we choose one thing and not only one show, but what do you actually want to do with your career? And then we reverse engineer what needs to happen for you to actually do that. So North Star. Then the second thing is we understand what niche you're going to go in because of that North Star. Like, what are you uniquely equipped with that can serve a certain area of the industry at the highest level? Because that will also guarantee you the best success. If you go in an area that you love, but you're actually not equipped to serve them at the highest level, you will still not have that linear growth. Yeah. So we choose a niche and go like, okay, this is where you fit the most. And also this is what you love the most. We put a big, big emphasis on understanding what you actually like and what you're good at and what the resources that you have and the background that you have, all of that combined, is the thing that you're actually best at and what you like. Then after that, we go into marketing, which is basically the third step. Social media, email marketing, press kit, website, YouTube, getting all your materials ready. Because the cool thing is, I think what a lot of performers do wrong here is they get a skill and then they do marketing without making any choices in the middle. And they go like, I hate marketing because it doesn't work. But marketing can only work if you know what you're selling, which is what you know now because you have a niche. So you create something that works for that niche and you know who you're selling to. Like it really, that's when marketing works, when you know who your clients is and what you sell. So we do marketing as a third step and target the right people with that. And then the fourth step is sales, like properly understanding not only, of course, how to negotiate and how to understand your pricing and have a healthy relationship with money, all of that, but also the fundamentals of sales in itself. Without going into much detail, but kind of like, what is it like that sales is basically having conversations with people, and that conversations lead to relationships and relationships lead to revenue, aka being booked. The whole, if I would put everything in one sentence, is to understand who you're here to serve and then building and understanding how to build relationships with that network and deliver an extraordinary, outstanding offer for them. Because that then in return gives my clients this long-term success, that feeling of, I know my clients, I can talk with them. It becomes this, they become not equal with them, but they become eye level with them. And they're happy to talk to them. They, negotiation happens on a whole nother level because they're not just afraid and go like, ugh. And they have actually in background what they're negotiating, why they're negotiating, because people just go, I just want more. I'm like, why do you want more? What is it that you want? Can you actually back it up? We put everything in context, and what's happening for my clients, that's the magic, is they go like, wow, I feel calm. I feel okay. I know what to say. I'm not afraid of my clients. I apply really courageously to everything, and I have the material to apply to places because we've created all of that. And then they are booked long in advance, which is something that a lot of performers don't know how to create. To have like, not just at the end of a contract and go, no, I have to do this again.
What's next?
What's next? What's next? And they go like, oh my God, I'm this broke artist. I'm like, no, you're not. So this is kind of what creates this like consistent quality bookings that they like. And that's the magic. And it happens fairly quickly. And they're like, I don't know how you do this. I'm like, you literally just done the steps. That's it. And it's not, of course, it's not a magic pill. It's true. And that's a cool thing. It's just a business technique that I learned from a lot of other industries and looking at other businesses and going like, okay, everyone just chooses what they want very specifically. Then they research their market. Then they create a product for that market. And then they market that product to the market. Period. That's what you need to do. It's very simple. And because if you understand the process once, that's kind of like my mission, to give everyone the method, the Selling Circus method. That's the whole thing. It's simple, and you can rinse and repeat. And I can see how students do it the first time round. They're like, this is weird. This is magic. This works. And then they do it the second round. They're like, I know what I'm doing. And they become like really confident and very confident and also freaking successful. I'm like, I cannot believe what they're sometimes telling me, because I don't believe it's all about, now I'm negotiating this higher prices and blah. It's just really, they find clients that they align with. They negotiate prices that feel aligned with what they need, that actually have a reason. This is what I need a month. So everything comes into peace and into alignment, which is so cool. And they're also, because they feel more safe, because they have a system, they become more courageous in their art. They become more free. They become more bold. They take more risks. And I feel like they're actually then, because I was never courageous as a creative when I was broke, because I was so scared that I have to be someone else. So for me, profitability and creativity really go hand in hand. That's why the first part of the whole process is, how can we get you set up to be profitable and to be fully equipped to rinse and repeat that with a system that works. And then the creativity from that just blooms, and people, it's beautiful. Like Some people change disciplines. They come up with these concepts that they were like, I thought I'm never allowed to do this. And they get this great demand for it. And I'm like, yes, you go. That's exactly what I want for you. So that's kind of what we do
That's
in
so
a nutshell.
good. But it's amazing, but it kind of makes me think of like, why isn't that whole curriculum in the circus schools? You know, and why is that not part of a
I don't
curriculum
know.
that when you learn circus, that you also do the business of it? Because it is very clear that when you leave circus school, you are your own business.
I know. And actually, this is the whole reason why I created this. You know, like I use the exact same method that I just explained for this new business that I run. It's like, what pissed me off the most? I was the person going to the director of our circus school and going like, I was like, is this the business training that you're giving us? We learned how to design a business card. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, this cannot be it, you know? And like, I remember I had one of the assignments was, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to talk bad about correlates. I think it's common in a lot of schools. I had to learn how to design a DVD. Excuse me? Who in the world still uses a DVD? So for me, that's just a symptom represented from the industry that we are still thinking and delivering the message that art has to do with talent only, and that this whole career has to do with being discovered, luck, connections, and it makes me sick. Like, I have a very strong opinion about this because it's crippling and it's dangerous and it's like it ruins people's careers. I find it mad because performers train for 15 years, for 10 years, and spend all their money. Like, it's a big deal to become a circus performer. It's not just something that you do like this. And then to be told, you just need to know the right people, or you will be like, just become better and people will find you. I'm like, this is madness to me, because the percentage of you getting found is very small. But more importantly, for you to have a career that you love is even smaller. And I think we become circus artists because we want to be free. Like, I remember I started because I was like, I don't fit anywhere else. I have to do this. Like, I'm not home anywhere else. I cannot. So to then, it's true. And to then not have the tools to do it properly was hard. That's why I took every business course, every business degree that I could find, because I was like, I don't think so. Like, I remember I only had a feeling that was like, I don't think so. I don't think it's luck. Because I didn't know anyone. I was a late starter. I'm still the most mediocre foot juggler you will find. Like, I'm okay. I knew what I had to learn to be accepted in the industry, but I'm not outstanding in that sense, in a skill level. So I was like, but I deserve a place to be here. So what else can I do to make my place really valuable and to earn good money from it? And slowly I started to, like, I think the only work that I've done came from that frustration. Or it's like, okay, how can I translate what works for other industries that everyone is using since decades? How can I translate that to us? And I started to like test. I was like, okay, let me try this marketing strategy. Let me try this. Let me try this. And I was like, it's all working. What the hell is everyone doing? You know, and I was like, this is madness. So I started to use YouTube to get more traction, you know? And I was like, okay, other businesses do this. It's a free marketing tool. I learned how to do SEO. I learned how to and people found me and I got booked. And I'm like, and then a lot of people tell you, I think the things that I remember people telling me is like, you're just trying to show that you're better than other performers. You shouldn't do that because we're all a family. So we have this really messed up perception.
Psychology behind that.
Oh
isn't
my
it?
God. And I'm just like, everyone needs to just stop. You run a business. You need to make sure like getting paid is your number one priority. So like, otherwise you have a freaking hobby.
That's it. That you train to put a lot of money and time in to train for, right?
It's like, I love your passion and I love that people are very like I'm authentic and I want to be here for the love of it. And people say, I'm not in it for the money. I'm like, you should like be in it a little bit more for the money, because your mindset shifts a little bit more. And I even had, and I don't know if you resonate with this, I had I've talked to a couple of producers in my research to ask if it's actually a problem that performers negotiate properly and are actually educated in this. Because this was a fear that I had when I created this, that I was like, I don't want to piss off every producer, because now performers basically are more equipped and negotiate their contracts differently. And they were like, no, the people that actually come from you have phenomenal products, and it's worth an understanding to actually negotiate. What I don't like as a producer is when people come with no evidence or background or product that is worth the money, they're demanding, they're not even properly professional, and they ask me for the moon. Yeah. So I don't know what you have to say to this, but this is something that I was very pleased.
No, I mean, my comment is, yes, there is that, there's many sort of things on the spectrum there in terms of how people might come to you for negotiation. But the one that you specified with like asking for a lot of money with not a very grey thing to offer me is frustrating, and if somebody's got something clear and they know what they're worth and their negotiation is in line with what they're worth with some flexibility, I mean, that's the perfect client person hire that you've got. They know what they're worth. They respect it. You have a healthy negotiation, and it's all about, when you're producing something, it's all about getting the best deal that you can afford for the person that you want. And that's not about screwing them out of any money. It's just about putting them to what they're worth, coming to something. Everybody has a range of what we can fit somebody into. And some people are going to be able to negotiate to the top of that range, and some people are going to negotiate to the bottom of that range. It's that simple. And how you come to the producer is where you end up on that range. And if you know your worth and and you're confident in your negotiation skills, you're going to more often end up at the top end of that range than the lower end of that range, and be more better off in the long run. And if you sit outside that range, then maybe we're not the right partnership to go into. It's that simple, right? And it's no beef. I'm sorry, not this time. We can't afford you, or, we can't afford you. That's okay. That's okay to say no if there's other people out there that we can get for that price. And that can depend on a project. Sometimes we have more money and we can offer you more. Sometimes we don't. And so it's all out there for the taking if you're ready to have that negotiation and be professional about and understand what your value is, and once you know what your value is and you can advocate for it, you will be successful.
Yeah. It all comes back to them being clear, or the performer being clear. But also I think there's one thing that can demolish all of that. You can have the best freaking negotiation skills, but if your offer doesn't deliver, done. Like, I feel everything starts with your offer. That's why in the program we focus a lot of time on creating a signature offer that is truly valuable to the client, because you need, like, that's what I mean. If people do negotiation and marketing and they learn all these skills, but the fundamentals of actually serving an existing problem for a client with your offer, to go like, yes, this is dream scenario for this type of person. That's why I can charge a lot of money. It's all about problem solving. But if they just go, I just think it's great. Well, great. Good for you. But a casting process is really about, I have this problem that I need to solve, and I need to find all these solutions for it. And then you're going to be solution here, you're going to be solution here, and you're going to be solution here. And if you're the perfect fit, I'm happy to put the big bucks on the table, period. But if you're not the perfect fit and you have great in negotiation, I will still not give you.
Yeah. And also know what market you're playing in, because if you're in the corporate market, you raise your price a bit. If you're in a sort of a lower end festival or something where somebody's looking for you, that even in my career as a stage manager, when I was doing those sort of things, I did this huge balance between taking a theatre show when I was 22 for $400 a week, and then taking a corporate gig for $600 a day. And I did both because I wanted to do both, and I was evolving my craft as a stage manager. And I needed to pay my bills. I didn't always enjoy the corporate work, but it was something that I could keep to sustain my education and my growth in other areas. And that's also a way that, if you're going into corporate or events or a circus or a tour or a resident show, or all of these playgrounds have different budgets and have different expectations of a performer. And you need to know where you fit in those contexts and what you can bargain for.
Yeah. I think I love that you say that, because there's this misconception as well that like you shouldn't ever work for free, or you should only thrive to get the best paying jobs. I don't think that's true. I say this, I think this is one of the first lessons in the program where we go how to price your offers, where we go for the whole thing. It's like free is okay. Because I still, like, I remember at the end of my career where I got paid sometimes 4,000 to 5,000 a day for jobs. But I would also do jobs that are for free because they would open me doors to completely different markets. And I'm not
That's right.
hurting anyone with this. So I think the performers that are like heckling online and just like, that's something where they go like, oh, you should never work for free and free doesn't pay the bills. I get it. But it also is, again, this miseducation by performers that had a bad experience, that have been treated wrong by clients. So new performers, again, have this wrong information that you should only do things in one specific way and you should always bargain for the highest price, which then they never actually learn all the facets of being a performer and understanding, okay, corporate is this. My corporate fee is this. Okay, for charity events, I would do this. What is my fee for friends and family? And that everything is okay and everything together builds a network and builds opportunities. And everyone knows to not undercharge. If you do, then sorry for you. But that's not the people that we talk about anyway.
Yeah, if a voluntary event, serves your career, whether it opening up a market or you get to work with a particular director that you wanted to work with, or there's so many reasons for putting yourself out there on a free basis. Yeah. It's a lifelong learning and education. But yeah, it's not like you can do it all the time, but there's certain contexts where that is appropriate,
Yeah. I think it helps with relationship building, which is the thing that leads to a long-lasting career. I feel every core thing that pushed my career forward or that created the most beautiful memories for me, because now I'm on the other end, I retired from performing, and every highlight for me came back to a relationship with a producer, with a creator, with a creative, with a show that was with a person and not so much with a show, So that's something. And sometimes performing for free can lead to building relationships. And then as a result of that, everything opens, because relationships is first, booking is second. That's how I see it.
That's right. So we always finish our podcasts with 2 questions. So I'm going to ask you these questions now. What is your most favorite thing about your job or the industry?
As a coach or as a performer? As a coach.
You can choose.
As a coach, to change performers' careers in a very short amount of time and to see how they don't freaking believe it. It's the most,
I love that.
It probably comes a little bit from an egoistical way, because it's wonderful to help people change their lives. But on a bigger scale, I feel like what I always wanted, I'm a big mover and shaker. I feel like it's a ripple effect of performers changing the industry at large, one performer at a time. And that's my favorite freaking part, because the circus industry needs to level up. So I'm really happy to be part of that mini revolution. No more broke artists.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I agree. That's a great answer. And if there's one thing that you could change about your job or the industry, what would that be?
Well, I'm sitting a lot in my office as an online course creator. So I think what I would change about my job is, and that will happen in the future anyway, a little bit more, is that I will be more in places with performers educating. That's something that I'm looking really forward to be able to do that, hopefully next year or in the coming years. And something that I would like to change about the industry. If I talk about the circus industry, I think if I would have a magic wand, I would open people's minds about what is possible. I see people wasting their careers and staying very stagnant and keeping things how they are. And I've just had such a wonderful, magical, everything is possible career because I thought everything is possible. So if I could change something, I would just put a magic wand on every performer's head and go like, you're going to be absolutely fine. Here's some business skills and go and play hard and big. It's fun. Circus performer is fun.
I love that. I think that's a great answer. Ulrike, so thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. I feel like I could talk to you for hours, but we're running out of time. We've already gone over our normal podcast time. So thank you so much for being on the StageLync podcast, and I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much, Anna, for having me.
That's it for this week's episode. Thank you to Ulrike and Anna. That was awesome. It was frank, insightful, and done with such kindness. I had a blast listening. Now, my takeaways are Ulrike's signature act, tribute to Marlena, talk about a niche performer, and also authenticity. She found her niche and aligned it with her passions. Social media and consistent sharing. Now, we all know social media is the new town square to market yourself on, but something I love was Ulrike's encouraging performers to share work over and over again. You don't have to be posting the latest trend, but rather posting to keep yourself out there. And who cares if you shared it 100 times already? The people who have seen it already will skip over it, but the people who haven't might give it another glance. Messaging and memorable communication. Ulrike encouraging adding the human touch when reaching out to clients. Now, how that works for you, I don't know, but how do you talk with people? However that is, let that translate over into your marketing emails. Selling circus, Ulrike helping performers define goals, find their niche, create marketing strategies, and develop sales techniques. I love that Ulrike says it's not rocket science. A performer is providing a good or service just like any other company or commodity in the world, and it needs marketed. So remove the emotion and market yourself so that the people who need you or want to find you will be able to. This tied into that conversation about rates and negotiation. There isn't any secret to it. It's about finding that market rate for a job and going with it. There's always a bit of ebb and flow, but you want to be in the range that's expected. Certainly don't be selling yourself short, but if you're bringing a good product to the table, don't be afraid to communicate that. The need for business education in circus schooling. Ulrike calls out the lack of training for business in circus schools, and she's right, because otherwise selling circus wouldn't be needed. Now, I don't fault academia because there's so much to learn, but it again reminds us of why we have podcasts like Artistic Finance and like StageLync, because these things aren't talked about enough and aren't taught. The role of free work and relationship building. That's a hot button issue because of privilege and equity. There's no denying working for free can be a great way to build relationships and tap into different markets and advance a career. I do appreciate how candid Anna and Ulrike were in their perspectives. And my final takeaway is Ulrike's perspective of empowering performers to embrace their potential, not changing anything about them, just helping them market themselves. That's a reminder to all of us with our skills and our talents. If we know our stuff, we know our stuff. It's just about connecting to the producers or the event organizers to get hired. I hope you enjoyed this interview and can understand why I wanted to put it into our feed. If you liked it, be sure to connect with me on the socials and let me know at Artistic Finance on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Blue Sky. And I'm also on those places at Ethan Steimel. Find Ulrike, Anna, and StageLync in the show notes, artisticfinance.com/173. It's Thanksgiving week here in the USA, and that means that LDI is just a couple weeks away. Now, in exciting news, 2 of my sisters are off work and they've decided to attend. So that's exciting for me. I'm hoping we get time to hang out and maybe catch a show one of the evenings. If you're in the general vicinity of Las Vegas and you might want to check out one of our live recordings, there's a free registration to the conference. Use code Artistic Finance, and that gets you an Expo Hall Pass, which gets you in the door and to both of our sessions. They're at 11 a.m. on Sunday the 8th and Monday the 9th. It would be amazing to see you there. And as I wrap up the episode, I'll mention that if you're enjoying the show and you want to support me, you can do that by becoming a patron. All patrons get early releases of episodes and ad-free episodes, and you can sign up at patreon.com/artisticfinance. The dad joke to end the episode. What do circus performers call free work that helps build their careers? An investment in the ringmaster plan. That's it for today. Until next time, break a leg.
Thank you for listening to Artistic Finance, where we interview successful artists, leaders, and investors to help educate and inspire the creative community. To access our show notes and resources, go to artisticfinance.com. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any decision, consult a professional. This show is copyrighted by Artistic Finance. Written permission must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting.